Hi guys, welcome back to Too Cool for Middle School. Welcome to 2021. I thought I would do a video today previewing some of the things that I'm going to read this year. I'm a double, triple, quadruple, quintuple dipper. When it comes to books, I'm always reading multiple books at a time. So I'm never really sure like which book I'm going to commit to next, but I have a lot of them just like out right now. So I know that these will be books that I read like toward the beginning of the year. And it's kind of nice to know like what somebody else is planning on reading, just so that you can read along and then, you know, compare notes and talk about that book a little bit. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to document my reading this year. I don't know if I'm still gonna do a video like every 10 books, or if maybe I'll just share more over on Instagram and just do more like topical books over here. I still haven't decided yet. So anyway, let me just show you some of the stuff that's coming up, and then maybe you'll have some ideas about like how to organize it video wise. I just have a stack right here. They're not really in any particular order. One that I want to read definitely before the fall of next year when I have to teach this again is the graphic version. That makes it sound like inappropriate, but a graphic history of this book, Sapiens. I started reading this book. I think I have it somewhere. I didn't quite finish it. I've read some good reviews and some bad reviews. Some historians aren't completely on board with all of his conclusions and stuff, but there's just a lot that I don't know about the birth of humankind. So I thought that this would be helpful for me, and like I could possibly use it to help me teach next year, because this is always a section of ancient history that I'm like, I don't know, this is just like hard for me to explain, hard to understand. So I think this will come in handy. The book that I'm currently reading, that I actually have a bookmark in, I made these little bookmarks out of my 2020 calendar, trying to not fold over the edges or the corners of my pages anymore. I mean, I really don't mind. When I read, like, I'm gonna read. Like, this book is gonna look like it was read. It's gonna be underlined. It's gonna have dog-eared pages, all of that. But I was like, meh, let me just like try to use bookmarks this year. But this one is She Weeps Each Time You're Born by Quan Berry. Quan Berry wrote my favorite book of 2020, We Ride Upon Sticks, so I wanted to read more of her stuff. This one is very, very different. This one is set in Vietnam, where I believe she was born. Like, the narrator of the book was born there, and I think she was too. So I'm only 50 pages in. I haven't been able to wrap my mind around it yet. It's pretty different, a little bit hard to follow, but I'm invested. I'm gonna get all the way through. This one is a YA novel that, okay, I did start. I'm on, okay, page 11, so I haven't gotten very far. But I really love Hilary McKay. She's a beautiful author. I just really love the way she writes, and I was sent this one by Simon & Schuster, The Time of Green Magic. So whenever I'm in the mood for like a young adult fantasy book, I'm gonna read this one. This is another one that I started last year. I really love Supriya Kalkar. She actually came and did a Zoom class with my students. It was really fun. I really liked American as Paneer Pie, and she has quite a few others that have come out recently and like are coming out, so I'm hoping to get my hands on those. Let's see, I'm on page 53 of this one. It takes place in India in 1942, and it's inspired by the author's great-grandmother's experience working with Gandhi. So I really need to finish this one as well. I'm sure that it's great historical fiction and just about a topic that I'm not super familiar with, so I really like kind of introducing myself to those topics through like young adult historical fiction. This is another one that I have started and not finished. It's very short. I mean, I could probably just like read this today, but I always feel like I need to be in like a certain headspace to read this one and like do a lot of reflecting and underlining and internalizing. But this is Pedagogy of the Oppressed. The last time I was reading it, I got off track because I was looking up how to pronounce his name correctly. He's Brazilian, so Paulo, and then I'm not sure about the last name. So if somebody can direct me towards like a video or something where they pronounce it correctly, that would be great. I just don't want to say it wrong. I've seen it written so many times, but not pronounced. So yeah, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. I feel like this is just like basic reading for teachers. So maybe like today I can read this one. This is another one that I'm partway through. Let's see, I'm on page 75. I was in a book club with a couple of other moms this summer, and we were reading Between the World and Me, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. I have heard him speak so many times that I feel like I kind of had read it already, but there is a lot more in the book that, you know, is absolutely worth reading. I definitely recommend this one for a book club and specifically for parents. I feel like this one was really, really good. So yeah, there was a lot in here that I'd underlined about like this myth of American exceptionalism and holding Americans to that then when it comes to race and equality. And the premise of this one is just about like the safety or lack thereof of Black bodies. And it's really, really amazing. It's another just like very deep, dense book where you really have to be present and like have a pen, have a journal with you in order to read it. So sometimes it takes me a little longer to get through those books because I don't just want to like pick it up casually. I want to like set aside more time to read it, you know? So I do need to finish this one. This is another one that I have started. Let's see, I'm on page 75. That seems to be about how far I get into these books, and then I'm like, let me just see what else I've got, because I'm like always getting new books and I just want to like check them out. So this is Tristan Strong, Punches a Hole in the Sky. I'm really interested in young adult fantasy, especially after reading The Dark Fantastic last year, and so I'm trying to put together a young adult fantasy literature circle unit for my 8th graders. And I want to read all the books first though, of course, so this is one that's in the running. It's just pretty long, so it's gonna take me a little while to finish. But so far, it's really, really cool. Another one that I have started, I'm on page 28. Okay, I'm not as far in as I thought I was. Jesus and John Wayne, How White Evangelicals Corrupted a Faith and Fractured a Nation. This is written by a historian and somebody who has studied like religion and Bible. So this is right up my alley. I've been studying the intersection of evangelical Christianity and race for quite a long time. I was writing papers on this topic in undergrad history classes like 10 years ago, so about a decade in, and there's still so much more to analyze. And so far this book is really interesting. I mean, it's not like a book that challenges my thinking in any way. This is, you know, feeding right into, I was gonna say my biases, but like feeding right into the decade of research that I've done on this topic. It confirms a lot of that, but anyway, it's really interesting. So if you too are interested in this topic, so far, this one has been really good. My favorite person on the internet this year was Heather Cox Richardson. She is a historian and she has just done us all a great free service this year. She's been doing these pretty much daily, or at least like 5 times a week, just like wrap-ups of the day's news, and she posts them on Twitter and she posts them on Facebook. She also goes live on Facebook, I don't know, like once a week, and I think she also goes live on YouTube. And so just as someone who is incredibly intelligent, an impeccable writer, an amazing researcher, and somebody who just has a very, very strong understanding of American history, she has a great perspective on the news of the day, and I think she has illuminated a lot for people who are historians and kind of knew who she was, and for, I guess I'll just call them like lay people, non-historians, who have realized how important her voice is. They just did a piece on her in the New York Times, I think, and all of the work that she's done this year. So she's absolutely incredible. She's one of my favorite historians. She's one of my heroes, and she wrote How the South Won the Civil War. And this is about the narrative that Southern states shaped in like public education about the history of the South and what the Civil War was about, and states' rights and farmers and cowboys and Indians and all of this stuff. So I am, man, okay, now I want to read this one today, I think. There's just so many good ones. This is the problem, but I have read the introduction to this one, so I know like generally where it's going, and I'm just very, very excited about it. So read this one with me. Everybody pick this one up. This is another one that just came in the mail. This is Sex Trafficking Inside the Business of Modern Slavery. I do Dressember every year. Actually, today is the very last day. The last day that I have to wear a dress for a while. And thank you truly, truly to everybody who donated to my campaign. Together, we've raised a little over $2,000. And then I'm also taking the ad revenue from one of my YouTube videos and putting that towards our total. So we'll have quite a bit to donate to organizations that are actively combating human trafficking. And I've also been studying this topic for about a decade. The Locust Effect is one of my favorite books on this topic. Christine Caine writes about this and runs A21. This one is by Siddharth Kara. And I was just looking, online for more information on this topic, and this book came highly recommended, and it has a lot of sources. So I'm, not looking forward to reading this one, but part of what we do with Dressember is also just like educate ourselves and help to educate the people around us. So I wanted to expand my knowledge more about this year. So I'll be reading this one. A lot of nonfiction. There have been a lot of questions this year about how to grade students, how to assess students. I've been teaching all online. So what is fair? What are we giving them a grade on? What is that telling us? Especially when we have so little feedback, so little input to go on. And so I've been hearing a lot of people's opinions about this, but I'm just not very interested in those. I wanted to see some research on this. So we've got, quite a few studies and sources in the back of this book. This is going to be rough. This is like one of those that you read in credential classes, but this is an important topic, and I wanted to have something to reference when we're talking about this, like at staff meetings and stuff, or just on Instagram or whatever. I don't want to be just like pulling things out of my own brain. I want to have some research to back it up. And I've seen quite a few of you post this one on Instagram as well, so be interested to see what you think. This is another one that already has a bookmark in it. I just started reading this one. It's called From a Liminal Place, an Asian American Theology. This is written by a Korean theologian, and I'm pretty sure that the largest Christian church in the entire world is in South Korea, and there are tons and tons of Korean Christians, but I feel like white evangelicals do not often seek out or respect the voices of theologians from other countries. Like, we only see them as people to help and evangelize to, when really there are leaders all over the world that are not American. So to be honest, like, I've kind of had enough American Christian theology, like just maybe for my whole entire life. I'm quite full of that. Thank you. It was nice. I would like to hear some other voices, the voices of women, the voices of Americans of color at least, but I cannot read another Christian book by a white male pastor. Like, it's gonna be a while. I'm like up to here. Besides Daniel Hill, I do want to read his new book. Oh my gosh, I have this whole stack is all a stack of books that I want to read, but I did actually talk about them in another video. It was like a book haul, like how I'm handling quarantine or whatever. So those are all also on the list, but I've already talked about those. So I'll read Daniel Hill, but I want to read this guy. The premise of this book is that Asian Americans are on the margins. They live in like this liminal space, and then he looks at God's strategic alliance with the liminal and marginalized in Galilee and Jesus's ministry to the Galileans. So like, how much more interesting is that than like, be happy every day and God will bless you and whatever. I'm so uninterested in like, I'll just say, like Joel Osteen, Carl Lentz, whatever, all those guys, like, nah, just, I'll take this, please. Thank you. I also want to read a couple of cookbooks this year. And I know that I could just like go on cooking blogs and like get recipes online, but cooking is something I'm really not good at. Like, I have to be very intentional about it. And so I just bought this one, and I've ordered one more. This one's called Vegetable Kingdom, The Abundant World of Vegan Recipes by Bryant Terry. So I'm looking forward to just like reading his ideas about food. I think there's a little bit of that in here. I read that he's like a food activist, and the way we eat is so tied into economics and the climate and our health and what we have access to and culture, and I'm interested in how all of that intersects. So actually every January, Derek and I do this thing called a Daniel fast, and it's basically like eating vegan for 21 days, which is actually based on the teachings of Jensen Franklin, who is a white male preacher. We did go to his church for many years and learned a lot from him, and he's great. I have some issues with him at the moment, but well, we're still gonna, you know, do the fast with Free Chapel. So I was looking for some new recipes. So yeah, I'm excited to just like go through this one and see what seems feasible. I also brought a little baggie home from my classroom of some books that I wanted to read over break. I don't know if it's all gonna happen. A lot of my students like this one, Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. And I think our librarian somehow secured a Zoom meeting with Shannon Messenger when we get back from break. So I wanted to read this before that Zoom meeting, but this is really, really long. These kids, man, they read these long books. Every time they recommend something to me, I'm like, okay, but it's 500 pages. Man. I've also had 3 Keys since it came out, and I just haven't had a chance to sit down and read it. This one's not too long. We can do this, but it is a sequel to Front Desk. I loved Front Desk. I really like Kelly Yang, so I'm sure this one will be great once I get a chance to read it. This is another one that I have meant to read forever and ever. Inside Out and Back Again. I know so many people have recommended this. I feel like it'll go well with the Quan Berry book. They're kind of similar, just that this one is for younger readers, so maybe if I read those back to back I can kind of like stay in that vein. This was another one I just wanted to read kind of quickly. It's short. Tim Tingle's How I Became a Ghost, a Choctaw Trail of Tears story. This one looks like it's gotten quite a bit of love in my classroom, so I just wanted to be able to talk about this one with my students. Oh yeah, this one so many people recommended. The publisher sent me the Radium Girls. This is the Young Readers edition, The Scary But True Story of the Poison That Made People Glow in the Dark by Kate Moore. I really want to read this right now too. So many people said it's really, really good. So I trust you, I take your word for it. I want to read that one. And then also this one, My Neighbor Totoro picture book. A lot of my students are into like manga, and they said this is like kindergarten level 1 manga stuff. So I wanted to read this. I was thinking we could do 21 books for 2021, and I think we're at 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, I get 2 more. Okay, I'm at 19, so, ooh. These 2 have been like sitting out, you know, so I'd remember to read them. They've just been like waiting patiently for me. So this is another one that I was interested in incorporating in our YA fantasy lit circles, but again, I don't know, I haven't read it, and it's really, really long. Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. I've heard really great things about it. I just want to make sure that it's like reading level appropriate and everything for 8th graders. So hopefully I have time to get through this one. Goodness. Yeah, this is another 500 pager. Come on, guys. And then lastly, I've just like had this one sitting there waiting for me. It's got such a beautiful cover, and I've heard so many good things about it. Punching the Air by Ibi Zoboi and Yusuf Salam. I know my friend Emily from Read It, Write It, Learn It is reading this one right now, so I was like, yeah, we can kind of be like an unofficial book club also. This is another one I just want to like read right now. So I'm kind of in the middle of a bunch of these, and I just like go with whatever mood I'm in. And then people always ask me like how I keep them straight, but like they're all really different. I don't mix them up. So if you have any strong feelings about which one I should kind of put towards the front, because there's never really one in the front, but you know, something that should be towards the top of my list, let me know. I've got a whole cart full right here as well. Just a few titles, let me sneak these in there. Brown Church, Minor Feelings, Lose Your Mother, Disability Visibility, Shanghai Girls, Never Caught, The Mothers, Flight Behavior, Passing, A Discovery of Witches, Talking to Strangers, and all of these, and then there's just like, you know, more everywhere too. This is why I have to read so much, because there are so many to get through. And oh my gosh, the other one that I keep accidentally hiding it. I think that's why I haven't gotten around to it yet, but Pachinko. I've been trying to read that one for like a few years, so definitely that one too. I feel like it would actually go well with a liminal space. That would be an interesting text set. Okay, anyways, I need to stop making videos and just go read. That's what needs to happen here. So anyways, I hope you are having an amazing 2021, and I'm excited to see what this year has for us. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye. I will remember.